Make sure that you watch this video to the very end, guys, because there's a really disturbing story about 12-year-old Amanda who was forcibly married away in a child marriage, and the Swedish court rules that her so-called husband gets the care of the children that they got together after he raped her. So make sure to watch to the very end, because this is insane. Child marriage in Sweden. Is that a thing? Well, it's almost a year ago now since I reported about a story where a 21-year-old Syrian migrant was allowed by the authorities in Sweden to continue to live together with his 13-year-old cousin, who was also pregnant, by the way. So, what's happened since then? Well, there's actually 300 known cases of child marriages in Sweden at the moment. And recently there's been quite a few scandals regarding child marriage in Sweden. So recently, just a couple of days ago, the Swedish government came out with this brochure, this leaflet, saying, and it's titled, quote, "Information to you who is married to a child," unquote. Yeah, what's going on here? I mean, this should not be up for discussion. Why are they even producing a leaflet like this? Information. This is just a information. If you're a migrant coming to Sweden and you happen to be married with a child, here you go, here's a leaflet telling you some instructions how to do and so on and so on. I mean, come on! This is a scandal. How is this even a thing? And it gets worse. This leaflet was ordered by the Swedish government from none other than the Minister for Children and Elderly in Sweden. They actually ordered this leaflet, and they even set out, you cannot believe how much money they set out for this leaflet. They set aside 1.2 million Swedish kronor, which is about 140,000 US dollars. Yeah, I know, it's insane. In this leaflet, it says that it's illegal for you to have children with a child who is under 15 years old, even if you have had children with this child before. Now it says here, quote, because children under 15 years old have an absolute right to protection against sexual acts, it is unsuitable if you live together. If the child is under 15 years old, it's unsuitable. Unsuitable. They couldn't have found a better word to use, maybe? Maybe like something like completely reprehensible? Anyway, let's continue. And it says, this applies even if you have children together. Even if you have children together. It also says that, for example, it also informs people of different rules and laws that apply in Sweden. One thing that is highlighted is, quote, you have to have consent to have sex, even if you are married, unquote. Yeah, I mean, maybe basic stuff, like you really don't need a leaflet for this kind of thing. Is this the bigotry of low expectations here that made them produce this leaflet? After a massive backlash from the media and people on social media in Sweden, the government actually pulled this leaflet back. So that's $140,000 completely wasted. It seems like the socialism in Sweden is a very effective way to run governments, you know. But this doesn't end here, because this leaflet only comes very shortly after they actually had a vote in Swedish parliament whether to legalize child marriage or not. Yes. They had a vote in the Swedish government whether to legalize child marriage or not. How is this a thing? This shouldn't be up for discussion. Why are they even having a vote on this? Why is this even being discussed? It shouldn't be an issue in a civilized country. So the vote was, so basically what happened was that the parliament in Sweden wanted the government to come up with a new proposal that will completely ban all child marriages in Sweden. Now, the Swedish government, which consists of a coalition between the Socialist Party and the Green Party, and they are backed by the Communist Party as well, they voted against it. They did not want to come up with a proposal which would ban child marriage in Sweden. But however, the government was defeated because it's a minority government, so opposition and nationalist Swedish Democrats voted against this. So the government was actually defeated on this issue, so they have to come up with a law now to ban child marriage. So, but to keep in mind, the Socialist Party, the Green Party and the Communist Party all voted in favor of not making child marriage illegal. Let that sink in for a minute. Now the Socialist Party, the Green Party and the Communist Party, they defended their position by saying, quote, "It cannot be looked away from that there is certain situations where a foreign child marriage should be recognized in Sweden to live up to our international duties," unquote. And they examples of this are, for example, people from Roma gypsies who have some child marriages, so they should be allowed to recognize this, they say. Now, I just have one word. How is this a thing? It shouldn't be up for debate. Child marriage, illegal, period. Now, to give an example of how horrible this kind of child marriage is, let me tell you the story of Amanda. When she was 12 years old, she was forcibly married away from Sweden to an adult man, a 25-year-old man in Iraq. Her parents took her by car all the way from Sweden to Iraq and married her away. At the wedding, she was given a footstool to stand on. Amanda tells the Swedish newspaper Göteborgs-Posten what happened on the wedding night. Quote, "The worst thing of all was when all the guests had gone home and it was evening. He wanted that we should sleep in the same bed. I said I want to sleep in my own bed. I was really scared." And then she becomes quiet for a little while, and then she continues. "I bled a lot, and I had injuries down there for several weeks afterwards. I was so young," unquote. Amanda was just 12 years old when she was raped for the first time. And when she was 13, she was pregnant and had a miscarriage. At the hospital, they said that her womb was still as that of a child. And shortly thereafter, she got pregnant again, and this time she got kids. Amanda was desperate and asked to be able to divorce her so-called husband, but no. The husband said no, and here's what she said. She says that the husband told her, quote, "You are my present. Your daddy gave you to me, and I can do what I want with my presents," unquote. That's the answer she got when she asked to be able to divorce him when she was just a child. So she got pregnant again and gave birth to 2 children. She's just a child, and she gave birth 2 children, this time in Sweden. You would have thought that the Swedish services and authorities would have noticed something was wrong. When Amanda got older, she took off her hijab and refused to wear it. And because of this, she got divorced from her husband finally, and her family didn't want anything to do with her anymore. But here's where the really sick part comes in. Who was going to be the carer for their children? So she had been raped as a child by her so-called husband, and she got pregnant and got kids. Now the Swedish state, the Swedish court, ruled that this child's pedophile, rapist husband would get the care of the children that they had together. So she's just a child. She got raped by a pedophile and got pregnant. And now the pedophile. The Swedish court rules that the pedophile is going to have care of the children. Let that sink in for a minute. Amanda, when she's 12 years old, she gets forcibly married away in a forced marriage in Iraq to an adult so-called husband. She gets raped, she gets pregnant, she gives birth in Sweden. The Swedish court rules that the rapist, so-called husband, is going to be the carer of the children. How sick is this? How on earth could the Swedish court ever think of such a thing. You know, and it's also, she has tried to appeal the ruling, but the Swedish court has ruled that she is not allowed to appeal it either. So it's final. The rapist, pedophile husband is to become the carer of the children that he got with his child, whom he raped. What on earth is going on in Sweden? I mean, first, all of the other things, you know, and keep in mind that the Swedish socialist government voted against illegalizing child marriage. And they produced this leaflet basically normalizing child marriage, giving instructions to people who are married to a child. And you hear this story about what's happening to a child that has been forcibly married away. How are these people thinking straight in the head? I mean, it's just so, it's unbelievable. How can they do this? So, and this is really underreported in the mainstream media, okay? The Swedish media this is such big news. There is quite a bit of this in the mainstream media in Sweden, and I'll leave links to the sources below so you guys can see them for yourself if you want. But please, help share this video so that more people see what's happening. Please share this video on Facebook, Twitter, social media to help get the truth out there about what's happening in Sweden. Make sure to leave a like on this video. I know it can be a bit hard to like such a subject as this, but it helps give this video more views, so please leave a like. And make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And hit the notification bell to get notifications whenever new videos and live streams come out. So make sure to do that, guys. And thanks so much for watching. And by the way, you know, the mainstream media has billions to push their propaganda. And independent journalists like me and others, we only have you guys. I would really appreciate it, guys, if you would like to help support my work. I'll leave the links to my Patreon and my Maker support page in the links below. Anything is highly appreciated, and it's really important to help independent journalists out. Whoever is your favorite independent journalist, it's really important to help us out, guys. So if you'd like to support my work, please consider doing so. It really means a lot and helps me keep producing more content like this. So thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you later.